from the Heart.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Horror from the Heart, episode 32. And, of course, as always, I am Josh. And we are in the month of October. And we are getting closer and closer to the wonderful, wonderful time of Halloween. Now, I know here in the States, at least as far as internet culture goes, we really delve pretty hard into the horror aspect of things, because it's close to Halloween. It's so close to Halloween. I know, like, you go to retail stores, people are already putting up Christmas stuff because, hey, that's consumerism and things like that. But, that's just how it goes. That's the money spinner for them, right? But as far as internet and stuff like that, and just general air of things, it's spooky season. The spooky memes come out. Everybody starts getting into the horror aspect of things. And it makes it absolutely fantastic, in my opinion, because, that's what I'm talking about here is just all the horror stuff. Anything from, like I said, the real life to the movies and comics and all that other kind of stuff. So with Halloween, it's one of those perfect times to have just this whole aspect of horror out there in the world, and I know things have changed over the years as far as how Halloween goes, because I remember growing up and it was so easy to get out and go trick-or-treating, go house to house, getting candy and things like that. You'd see droves and droves and droves of people out and about going to go trick-or-treating and things like that. And it's not as prevalent as it used to be. Now, I know a lot of places have started doing, like, a trunk-or-treat. Basically it's like people who go out there to go to, like, a parking lot or a church or someplace, wherever, and kind of do, like, trick-or-treating out of the trunk of their vehicles and stuff like that because of safety reasons, because the world is a crazy place. Hence one of the reasons why I sit back and say is, like, there's horror in everyday aspect of everything that we have that's going on pretty much here in the real world of stuff. So a lot of people try to be a lot more safe with the whole trunk-or-treat thing. But it's kind of interesting how Halloween has come around, and there's so many different stories out there as far as, like, what actually developed Halloween. There's a lot of people who sit back and say, well, it was Christian based on this, or it was pagan believed on this, and everything like that. And in actuality, it was an amalgamation of a lot of that, from every different little religion that's out there has their own little way of how they do stuff when it comes to Halloween. Heck, you go back and you look at, the factor that here we do pumpkins and we change them into jack-o'-lanterns. We do the carvings and make them into these scary little things because it's great and fantastic to see some of the amazing artwork that people can do, even if it is, some of it's not so intricate, let's just say that. But, there's something like that, where it's like pumpkin carving didn't actually used to be that. It actually used to start out with, like, turnips and stuff like that. And the term jack-o'-lantern actually came from a man named Jack, and we have, just so many different things that are out there as far as how that stuff came around. Hell, trick-or-treating is no longer how it used to be anyway, because it's like we say trick-or-treat, and it's automatically like, hey, let's just throw candy at kids and stuff like that, compared to how it used to be, where it's like and I wasn't alive at this time. We're talking years and years ago, but where it was the whole aspect that kids actually would, like, sing a song or do a performance or something like that to actually get their treats before something like that came. We've turned it into, like, kind of a commercial thing in certain ways, but there's still a lot of people out there who like to delve into the whole creepy aspect of Halloween just in general because of how it is, because it brings around the whole entire feeling. Everything around the world is falling into its resting period and stuff like that, so it's like the tree, leaves are dying, the grass dies and all that kind of stuff, turns brown. It's not like dead, but it, turns its colors and stuff like that. Hence one of the reasons why we call it fall. The leaves are falling, or autumn, if you want to call it that, because it's part of the harvest, This is the time for the harvest to get ready for the harsh winter months, which we don't really have that kind of thing anymore because we have so many different ways that we do that kind of stuff. But, it brings about that kind of spiritual aspect. I mean, hell, there's even people out there who have that firm belief that when it gets close to Halloween, that's like one of the perfect times for the witching hour, for ghosts and spirits and things like that to come around. So if you believe in paranormal type of stuff or you get into that kind of stuff, this is that kind of time for a lot of people. And then there's other people who will kick back and say, like, oh, no, just like any time is the good time. There's a certain specific witching hour in the early morning hour and stuff like that, depending on who you're talking to, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, or sometimes 3 o'clock. Just all depends on who you get into when it comes to that kind of stuff. But with just Halloween in general, I've always loved it since I was a kid because it was the whole dressing up as a different character, anywhere from, super creepy. And for me, it was always like the aspect of like dressing up in creepy characters. Like I know as a kid, of course, I had like, a Transformers costume and stuff like that. And we dress up as cutesy little things and stuff like that. But Halloween has come a long way since way back in the day where we were more respecting the dead and honoring that kind of stuff than what we used to. I mean, hell, you go from Halloween into like the Day of the Dead, where it is an honoration of people who have passed along and stuff like that. I mean, hell, there's a Disney flick out there for that, which actually that was a really damn good flick. Pretty emotional. So if you haven't seen that one, go check that one out. But I'm saying a lot, I notice, because I'm just kind of like going and going and going. With that, though, it's the whole thing of I always liked the aspect of dressing up as like creepy stuff and things like that whenever I was growing up, because it was more about the monsters and the ghosts and the demons and things like that, and just the whole creepy atmosphere that is Halloween. I mean, we get into the month of October and you go onto many different networks that were around during the time, and it was nothing but horror movies on. And you could sit there and you could flip around and find all sorts of different little scary movies and stuff like that. And that was absolutely fantastic because that was the time to be able to do that. And then we also get into the other part where we get into this season. And I know here in the States, I don't know how it is with other countries or anything like that, because of course I live here in the States. But here in the States, we open up the haunted houses, and I know haunted houses kind of expanded just a little bit, where some of them will open up on certain other holidays just for a short duration, because we want to put fear into a lot of different things. Those are the people who absolutely love their horror aspect. But for the mainstay, we actually get a lot of the haunted houses that stay open during the season through October, beginning, end of September, not beginning of September, end of September, going all the way through October, because a lot of people like to go out and go check out these haunted houses. And there are attractions, of course. If you go check out the TikToks and stuff like that, I actually have a little factoid about the whole aspect of haunted houses, because I actually find, like I said, a lot of this stuff very interesting. I mean, that's the whole reason why I started trying to do this podcast. And I know I don't reach out to a whole lot of people, but for each and every single one of you guys that absolutely take the time to check out every single episode or check me out on occasion or stuff like that, I really appreciate it. Because to me, it's always been something that I've had a passion about, was the whole horror aspect. And Halloween is one of the perfect times to be able to really express that kind of thing. And see them, many wonderful ideas that people have when it comes to the idea of horror, because, it's the whole reason why we have so many subgenres in horror, is because of just how many people love it, and this is the season for them. So if you're one of those people who actually celebrate Halloween, what is it that you guys like to do for Halloween? Is it just, hey, being older, we don't go trick-or-treating, of course, so it's like, is it, let's go hit a haunted house up a few times and stuff like that, get our, our wits scared about and things like that, or just for the enjoyment of it, or is it, going out to go party? Because I know that's like, I kind of like the thing for, early 20s, late 20s, however you want to put it. For those people to go out and just go hit parties up where everybody kind of like a masquerade ball, but it's not quite a masquerade ball. because we don't really throw that kind of stuff anymore. So it's more just a party, But do you take your kids out, trick or treating and things like that? Do you guys take that time to do that? Because I know there's a lot of people out there too, depending on how you believe and stuff. Because if you're listening to this and you're one of those types of people who doesn't get into that kind of stuff, I'm surprised you're actually listening to this. But hey, thank you for listening anyway. Where it's the whole no, that's blasphemy and stuff is where I was going with. But I'm kind of curious as, what it is that you guys like to do for Halloween and things like that. Because I know for me, myself, it used to be a tradition that, would kick back and watch I had to watch at least one time during spooky season, was the Rocky Horror Picture Show. Because it was just a, phenomenal sit down. This is not scary, but fits the whole horror theme and Halloween and stuff like that kind of thing. I'd watch it at least one time during the spooky season. And that's one of my things. I used to take my kid out to go trick-or-treating, but he's definitely gotten older to where I don't think that's one of those things he really wants to go do too much anymore. Hey, that's part of growing up and stuff like that. But he's not old enough for the parties and stuff like that just yet either. So, no. If you're listening to some podcast, as always, leave me a review. If tell me what you guys think. Anywhere you guys feel like I can improve, or if you guys like the way I do my stuff here, share it around with people and stuff like that. If you're listening to this on YouTube, of course, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell so that way you know when I'm putting out stuff every single day. I also put out stuff on TikTok every single day, Monday through Friday, as far as doing a new horror fact. So if there's anything that you want to learn about new horror stuff, I always have something up there for you guys to be able to take the time and check out. And I do post those up on Instagram and Twitter and stuff like that too. So if you not one of those people who likes to do TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube, those little videos go up on there. If you don't want to do TikTok, I get it. Some people do, some people don't. That's just how it is. But thank you for taking the time to listen to me rant and ramble on, as I always do, here about horror stuff. And I hope to see you guys in the next episode.